and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. I'm so glad you joined us today. We are talking Chesapeake Shores. I have my fellow Chessie, Casey, with me. And Casey, I mean, you look, something's different about you this
I just decided a new look would be great, especially from our chat from last week. I was very inspired, especially after this first episode. And you too, you just look fabulous.
Well, a lot of time has passed since we did a Chesapeake Shores podcast, and I kind of just wanted to show that by a new hairdo, and I got bangs. You got bangs.
I did too. Yes. We're bringing back the bangs. I mean,
bangs, just like Abby, just like Megan, just like Nell, bringing back the bangs. Let's do this.
Bringing back the bangs. You guys, I can't do this anymore with the bangs. Y'all can't take me seriously.
Do the whole podcast with bangs.
Oh my goodness. And if you are on YouTube, you can see that, like, if I move a certain way, you can kind of see the headband. They're like two little bear bun headbands. Gorgeous. There you go.
I'm just not a bang type of gal right now. I don't think. I mean, maybe Abby's bangs will persuade me by the end of this season 5. It could happen.
I think it's the water in Chesapeake Shores, because all those ladies look so fantastic in bangs. Like they could so pull it off.
They
but
can.
I revert back to 2001.
Right. 2001. Well, by the end of this episode, actually, I was totally digging Abby and bangs. I thought she looked great. I thought she was pulling them off. I was like, okay, this is good. I like Abby and bangs.
Yeah, I do too. She looks more mature for sure.
She does. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about this episode. A kiss is still a kiss. Did season 5 premiere episode 1, did it deliver for you?
You know what? Surprisingly, it did. Yeah. I was very pleased with how this episode kicked off. I feel like we went at a really good pace.
Yeah.
I feel like we were introduced to all of the characters once again, where we weren't like, oh, what happened? Like, I think they did a really great job of reminding us what happened in the past without overdoing it,
Yes.
So I really like that gateway back into the shores.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought it delivered, because it was like, oh, they even kind of said a few things at the beginning of the episode in like these scenes where Brie stole Abby's cup of coffee and took a sip of it. And Abby said, oh, I missed that. And I thought that was such a well-timed line, because we had been a few minutes into the episode here, and I was thinking, oh, I've missed them. I've missed this. I like their family dynamic and their home. And, when she said that, I thought, oh, that was perfect. That was the perfect thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And they even brought back the bowl of ice cream.
They did. I wanted to see more ice cream, and they brought it back.
We're going to get more ice cream, definitely, with the 5 siblings and their significant others all piled up in somebody's bed, passing around a carton of Ben and Jerry's.
Yes.
It'll be great.
We need that. No, I loved that. So I did think it delivered. I thought personally, and I want to hear your thoughts on this too, because you were a Chessie a lot longer than I was. I'm a recent fan, and I thought they did the flashbacks really well. I really think Abby and Trace's flashback to their fight worked in this new season, this episode.
I definitely agree with you, because you see Abby really struggling in this episode. Mm-hmm. And as people are bringing things up, asking her, is it okay? Are you okay? How are you doing? And she's avoiding. And like, what happens when you're avoiding is you're still processing things.
Yes.
So it was really nice to have that flashback come at those certain times where you can tell she's just still processing everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel disjointed either.
No, it didn't. It felt really appropriate. Exactly, like they would zoom in on her face and she'd have this flashback, and you'd continue on with the fight that she and Trace were having. Now, the fight to me, I was so glad to have more of that scene because they were actually saying real
Mhm.
things that I feel like this relationship needed to say. Things like, does this feel like a healthy relationship to you? You know, this back and
Mhm.
forth, this, are you happy? Does this work for you? And he's like, no, I'm not happy right now. I'm not happy at all. You know, like just the whole conversation
Mhm.
felt real.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
it did. And it got intense, y'all. For
It
Hallmark,
did.
I was like, "What?"
Now that bothered you though, right? That like how intense he was?
Okay, so it didn't necessarily bother me. I think I was just more taken back because I had watching season 4, I was like, I understand where Trace is coming from. He was already a musician.
Mhm,
Abby knew that. Abby knew that he
mhm.
was going to go on tour. She knew that he would not be home a lot,
Right.
etc. And so when he started like practically screaming at her on the beach, I was just like, oh my goodness, like, bro, calm down. Like, can we have a
Right.
civil conversation right now? Because when he started yelling, then she started yelling, and then she
Yeah.
started crying, and then it was just like, oh my. But I understand why the writers did it that way, because
Mhm.
we had to see an obvious break. Like,
Yeah.
y'all know in some of these Hallmark movies, when a leading man decides to leave, what do? They kill him off.
They
We can't
or
kill Trace off. Or
yes.
it's just like they just drop off the face of the planet, or
Yeah.
the argument isn't even plausible. And it's like there's a
Exactly.
cracked door open that makes like super fans think, oh, this leading man
Coming
is going to
back.
come back. He's going to come back. It's fine. It's fine. But this, I was like, no, they were like, bye.
Yeah. I do think they were like that. And they made him really intense. Now their relationship was it had a long history, and it's very hard to break up with someone with a long history when you have back and forth. They both loved the chase. That's what they were saying. You know, maybe you like me waiting around in the wings for you. And she's like, you like me waiting around in the wings for you. I mean, like they had to acknowledge certain things and get intense about it enough that you believe that they're done. You know, that I believe that they're on their way to being done.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I really liked the fact that they brought up um the whole trying to recreate something that we had in high school,
Yes. Yes.
because up until that point I was kind of like, I am really confused by your relationship right now. But because they specifically said that out, because I'd never noticed that, I thought that they were just two adults reconnecting and they were in the adult phase of life and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like, I haven't actually rewatched the past seasons in several months, honestly.
Mhm.
So I was a little like, okay, wait, what? But when they
Right.
said that, I was like, oh, now that's how you make this end, because originally Trabby was never supposed to end in like ever.
Right. Right.
So when they said that, I was like, okay, I get it, because
Yeah.
they're in two different places in life right now.
Yeah.
Yes, Trace loves her girls. They have loved each other for a very long time, but they are in two different places, where he stayed in Chesapeake Shores after the accident with John,
Mhm.
and he kind of resigned himself to that. He got a second chance, so he is off like exploring the world and doing all these things. And Abby, she is a CFO and she's working for her dad, and she's like a
Yes.
business lady with two teenage girls, trying to give them stability, especially because
Mhm.
she is a divorced mom. And like,
Mhm.
what does that look like with her girls? And so I understand where they're coming from, and
Yeah.
I appreciated the writers tying it together so that we kind of understand that they are in two different places in life.
Right.
And it just it made me feel for both of them.
Mhm.
um but I just have to say kudos to whoever wrote this episode, because
I
it could
do
have gone so
too.
many ways, but it was good.
No, definitely kudos, and I wanted to say even just an emphatic thank you. You know, thank you for letting us see them hash it out, you know, and have that ending argument because as you have to say certain things like that in a
Mhm.
relationships just so you know without a shadow of a doubt this is over. This is over for me. This is over for you. Let's move on. And I'm so thankful to have seen that scene and just
Mhm.
kind of be a part of the inside of her head and the process of it all. Um, so she finally does talk about it. Everyone keeps asking her, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? And she finally does open up to Brie about it at the very end. And we see that final kind of you know, what they said to each other. Maybe we're still in love with our memories and not the person
Mhm.
standing right in front of us. And then she says, yeah, and that's when he left a few days later. So that could be it, except I think we do see him in the next episode.
Mhm.
Maybe we see the leaving part, and then as far as we know, that's it. That's it for Trace, and that's it for Abby. So they're really trying to close a chapter in her
Mhm.
life, and they're
Yeah.
doing a great job of it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
In my
agree.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have seen, just to kind of interrupt the recap here, we've seen just a lot of just reactions on social media where people actually will miss Trace. They want the character to stay on. They will miss him. Do you think that's the general consensus out there, or are people pretty open, you think, to new storylines for Abby?
I mean, I really haven't seen a whole lot on social media.
Mhm.
I did not watch the episode live just because I had a lot going on. So I purposely avoided
Did
social
you?
media until I watched the episode.
Yeah.
And then when I did, I just saw the actors tweeting and some fans. But from what from what I've gathered, there's kind of a mixed feeling about Trace
Yeah.
leaving. Some people are just kind of like okay with it. Other people are
Yeah.
really upset about it, which I understand. Like it's not true to the books and the storyline. I get that. I'm a purist when it comes to books,
Yes.
but I mean, this is an actor decision. Like the actor made the decision to leave, and we have to respect that. I
Yeah.
mean, it happened on Heartland, it happened on One Calls the Heart,
Mm-hmm.
it's happened like, you know, even on other network TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Actors decide to leave, and you just have to respect that. And the writers have to find a way
Yeah.
to move them on.
Honestly,
So,
I want people to know that, because I almost want, not blame necessarily, but I want them to lay the responsibility at the right doorstep. I don't
mhm,
want them to be like, oh, Hallmark, why did they do that to the show? When they did not do that to the show. Hallmark, or whoever was producing the show, the new producers and stuff, scrambled to save season 5 when it seemed like
mhm.
the actor, you know, made that untimely decision. But
Yeah.
but
It was in the middle of the quarantining right before they were supposed to shoot. And in Canada, you quarantine for 10 days.
right.
And so Jesse Metcalf decided he was done in the middle of that. And like, you know, we also don't know what goes on behind the scenes. He could have been
Don't.
negotiating, and sometimes businesses like to take their time. They drag their feet
Right.
and they wait until the very last minute in hopes that you'll just be like, okay, it's last minute. I'll just do this and then be done. And
Right.
so, I mean, like, you know,
Yeah,
y'all
great
don't go
point.
tweeting at Jesse Metcalf saying,
No,
why'd
yeah,
you quit
great
during
point
the
about him too.
quarantine?
We don't know the
Yeah.
whole story with him too. These things just happen. And so what we're
Mhm.
left to do as fans is to kind of try to understand some of behind the scenes if we want, but really just still get swept away by Chesapeake Shores in what they're giving us now. And
Yeah.
what they're giving us now, honestly, I did think this was a very strong premiere for season 5.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about that and excited about it. So yeah, so that was Abby and Trace kind of doing the flashback thing. Then we have Abby and Jay, who have a couple great scenes together. Jay. Oh, Jay.
Oh,
My
Jay,
heart.
Jay. Let's
Always
just
in the friend
say
zone.
for Jay, it's been
Can
a
there
good
be,
day.
you know, I think we just feel this preemptive heartbreak for Jay because we know who else is coming onto the show, Robert
Mhm.
Buckley with this character, Evan. But I just think Jay is just charming. He is
He is.
charming. So good with
Yes.
her girls, a great teacher.
Yeah, totally. And you know, here's another shout out to the writers. Thank you for putting him in the friend zone.
Yeah, right away.
I mean, I was watching and I was like, I'm gonna keep an open mind. And they're walking in the hallway, and he said something, she said something, and I was like, oh, she just friend zoned him.
She totally did. But she kind of kept the door open. You know, he says, "Uh-oh, you're a sweet guy, but," and she said, "No, but you're just a sweet guy." And so I was like, "Oh, that kind of leaves the door open a little bit." But we know there was a but.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, she is just fresh out of a relationship.
Fresh.
Fresh. And it's not just any old boyfriend. It's Trace, somebody that was a longtime boyfriend of hers in high school, lost contact, reconnected for 5 years.
Right.
I mean, you don't just, you shouldn't just hop onto the next guy so quickly, especially if you're hung up on that still.
Yeah, exactly. So we have Jay, and he just continues to charm us with each scene that he is on. And so I'm excited to see where he goes. But yeah, Abby, you know, she says that she's doing me time now, or focusing on herself, you know, that type of thing. Do you believe it? Do you believe
No,
it?
she's totally throwing herself into work.
She is.
She's work. Well, I mean, maybe volunteering at the school too. Like, that is a good outlet. Volunteering makes us, gives you happy endorphins and stuff. So
that's true.
But listen, she needs to go to the inn at Eagle Point, get some massages.
Yes.
Smell the ocean air, clear the mind of all things Trace and work and everything, and just be.
Yes, she does. Well, maybe she will. I don't think she'll have that. No, we don't really want that as fans. Actually, we want that for her, some other time, but not on air. Yeah. We want to see
between seasons.
Right, between seasons.
We'll see her at the end of the season walking into the inn, and we'll be like, good, she gets her me time.
Right.
See you next season.
We want her to have me time.
Yeah.
So we'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. Let's kind of go through and see what is up with everybody else here and how they're teeing up their storylines. Mick and Megan are interested in each other, and they're actually going on dates. Kevin actually had the guts to ask his dad, so are you and Mom back together? And Mick, what did he say?
I mean, he was kind of like, well,
he was evasive.
Yeah, he was kind of, I don't know. I was like, oh, these two people, Mick and Megan.
Yeah.
Like, we just turned the heat on with these two.
She was so supportive all of a sudden and wanted to be with him. And they were having this cute little phone call. They both kind of blushed a little. I mean, it's kind of cute.
It is cute. They do make a really cute couple.
Yes.
And his face lights up. Mick's face lights up when Megan comes up. And that date.
Yeah.
When Dilfer comes in, and it's just like Mick is about to literally, he that man was about to throw a table and throw some punches. And Megan stood up and basically told him, it's very little words.
Yes.
Not worth it right now. So and then they were kind of almost cuddling as they were walking.
They really
on the board, was the boardwalk or the shore or something, wherever they were walking outside, they were
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
cuddly.
the boardwalk. And I do think that what will be strong about them is to show them familiar with each other and relating to each other well, like, but also having some freshness and some newness.
Mhm.
Because here's a couple whose marriage did not work out. They did not stay married. They divorced. Their family broke up, but now they're reconnecting. So I hope that they show us some newness and some
Mhm.
rediscovery. You know, they kind of
Yeah.
said, "Oh, we know everything about each other, basically. You know, we're comfortable
Mhm.
with each other and stuff." But I hope they show us some rediscovery. And that'd be nice.
Yeah. I think that would be very sweet
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. Jess and David. Give me a rundown. How did you feel about Jess and David?
Well, first of all, can I just say Lacey Maylee's hair is just like so lush and just like so bridal. I'm like,
So
oh
beautiful and
wow.
long.
Yeah, like a Pantene commercial. She could just like
Right.
whoo, toss her hair, you know?
Definitely. Oh, it was luxurious. You know, she's gone through a couple
Yes.
of different hair colors here, and this one is just stunning on her. It's
Yeah.
more auburn, a little more red.
Mhm.
It's
It
very nice.
makes her eyes really pop.
Really pop.
Really
Yeah.
pop. But yeah, Jess and David, when they first said that they had something to talk to his parents about, I was kind of like, what?
Right.
Like, what do you guys have to? And then his dad and mom are so like pushy about this wedding in Wales. And I'm like, can't you just have it in both places?
Right. And I think we really didn't know what this thing was about that they wanted to talk, you know, to his parents
Mhm.
about. They said, we have something to talk to them about. And because the Wales thing was news to me. I mean, I didn't know his family, the Pecks, had this Wales tradition, this
Yeah.
wedding. So that was new to me. And I thought, of course she wants to get married in Chesapeake Shores.
Mhm.
That's traditionally what you do, the bride town, you know?
Yeah.
So I felt
Yeah.
so bad for them that it had to be an issue.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too is like, it really doesn't have to be an issue. They can have their intimate
yeah,
ceremony in Chesapeake Shores and then fly over to England,
sure.
Wales, and have that, you know, the Peck wedding
Right.
just for show. Like, you know, you're already married, so it's fine. Like, go ahead. And that's what a lot of
That's a
people
good
do.
compromise.
You know, that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people do anyways. Like, I remember when I was a kid, a couple got married. He was from Connecticut, she was from Oregon. They had their wedding ceremony and everything in Oregon. And then their honeymoon, I think they just like drove across the country.
Yes.
Saw the sights, came back to Connecticut. I remember it was after church. We had this big old fellowship for them. It was like their wedding reception with presents.
Yes.
And we were so excited because we got food and cake, and
Yeah.
they rolled out the TV with the VHS player, popped in their wedding, and we all kind of watched it, and it was fine.
Oh,
Like, it was
that's so
totally
nice.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely can do both, I think. And one thing that concerned me was this mother-in-law who wanted Jess to sign a prenup. So I don't know what Jess is going to do about that, actually. That's kind of a quandary, because you can be stubborn and not sign, or you can just say, we're not going to get a divorce anyway. I'm just going to sign, but like kind of lose a little of your soul, maybe.
Right.
So I don't know what she's going to do about the prenup, but the mom said, you know, you're marrying a Peck. And Jess said, no, I'm marrying David. You know, and the mother-in-law said, well, I used to think that way too. Or something, like something changed along the way. Like maybe she entered marriage to a Peck wide-eyed and all in love, just like Jess, but something changed along the way. There's a responsibility marrying a Peck. So I was like, oh no, I hope David doesn't feel that. I hope he doesn't go a certain direction with his heritage and he just stays David.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, with the mom, I was kind of like, whose side are you on right now?
Right.
Because I feel like you could have taken that one of two ways. Either it was a warning to just like, hey, I was in your shoes because I married a Peck. I was a civilian. I married a Peck. I thought it was going to be all great and dandy and whatever. We have kind of fallen out of love, and we are just like two cohorts. I just can't get divorced because I signed a bunch of stuff and I will lose my like everything. Or is she just being a manipulative mother-in-law to be and just trying to keep Jess under her thumb?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, possibly, but that's a different take on it that I didn't think of. Yeah, I kind of thought, well, I guess, who is she protecting? She's protecting protecting their money, but she said kind of other people were mean about the money, you know, selfish or greedy with the money. So she kept saying, Jess, you want to protect yourself, and you're like, wait, okay. So I'm just interested. They didn't read what was in the prenup. They didn't tell us anything more about that. David doesn't even know just yet that she got one. So
yeah. And the fact, like you said, she said, protect yourself. I'm like,
I know.
If the mother-in-law to be didn't really care, if Mrs. Peck were like, whatever, you know what, if you leave my son, well, boo hiss.
Yes.
We're going to, you know, basically bankrupt you. She wouldn't have said that. I feel like, you know, she would have just let Jess, in her mind, let Jess fall and just let her suffer, I guess you could say, if she were that person. So I don't know. It was
maybe it was confusing, which the Pecks are. The Pecks are manipulative and confusing. Even David said, oh, so it begins, you know, or something, when Dad said this backhanded compliment. And so we shall see that how else she has to grin and bear it. All right, moving on to Kevin and Sarah. Kevin and Sarah, we find them at their cute little house.
Yes.
Actually talking about this 2-month, 3-week anniversary that he made a big deal out of. And, you know, he just right away just is like, oh, dreaming. You could be pregnant right now. You know, he's dreaming.
Yeah, he's like, he is ready for some babies.
He's ready. Which is so
Finbar O'Brien.
I know. You know, this is the only scene we saw Sarah in this whole time. So she obviously had like a shift at the fire station or something.
Yeah.
But so she kind of, you see her a little hesitant to dream with him. He wants a Finbar or some other, you know, strong Irish name. And she's like, I'm going to name the kids, just so you know.
Yeah.
So funny. So, you know, that actually just gets Kevin to have this sweet conversation with Mick, which honestly, going into it, I thought it was going to be sweet, but was it really sweet? I mean, Mick kind of discouraged him.
Yeah, that was like, I was like, I was not expecting that, but at the same time, I get it. I get what he was saying.
Yes.
Enjoy it while it's just the two of you. And, you know, I would never discourage anybody from having children if they wanted it. But at the same time, you know, you did just get married. You know, enjoy the phase while it's like, I don't want to say the honeymoon phase, because like you could have a honeymoon for like 100 years. Right. But enjoy the newlywed stage while it's still new, you know, because you know, life happens and then there are more challenges, and then you have kids, and then there are challenges with that. And I'm not saying that having a family is awful. It's just different. Each stage has its complications and changes and good things and bad things. So it's good to relish in the now, I guess.
And that's exactly what Mick's point was. So you're right. It wasn't discouragement, but it was encouragement in a different direction, I think.
Yeah.
You know, just like enjoy your time, just the two of you. It's going to be different when the kids come. So like, don't wish this away too fast, which is probably good for him to hear. Yeah.
Good fatherly advice. And the whole talk about, was I a surprise?
He said, no, you're the only one we planned. So cute. Well, you know, Kevin, I think he had just a really strong episode being Kevin, you know, bringing to us the Kevin that we love. Someone who's supportive, someone who's intuitive to other people's feelings, someone who is just really quietly kind, you know, and asking people if they're okay. He just had some really sweet moments all throughout the episode, I thought.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Can we talk about
Yes.
who he ran into, since we're talking about Kevin?
Yes, which we thought this was Brie's story, but here we are introduced to this Luke Tatum. Because Kevin knew him in high school. So talk about that. Tell me what you thought about that.
I was not expecting that at all.
So Stephen Huszar as a gas station attendant.
Like, yeah, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with being a gas station attendant. I mean, like, hey, pays the bills. It's there's lots of people who make great connections. Like my uncle used to have a little convenience store.
Yeah.
And he would like make a ton of friends and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the whole, like, with the O'Brien storylines, with Brie having a crush on this Luke guy, and this Luke guy, he's a great looking guy, but then he's so sullen. That is the part that I did not expect. I was expecting Brie to, I don't know, Luke to come into town, like he decided to move back home, and Brie bumps into him in the street, and she's all like, I thought we were going to go that direction with Luke. I was not expecting to see a very forlorn, angry, cold man.
Yes. Well, this is what, and we had talked about this in our chat, but I was like, oh, this is interesting to introduce him this way to the show. He didn't want to even acknowledge that he knew Kevin from high school. You know, you kind of just get this embarrassment from him. And when he's sarcastic, and he's like, thanks for shopping at the Quick Go, you know, and you can just tell already he's down on his luck. He doesn't even like where he is in life right now. He's back, tail tucked between his legs after he disappeared from high school. What is his story?
I'm not gonna lie. If the rest of this episode tanked, except for that, I would be back next week. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just like, but wait, you didn't give me anything on him. He's like
nothing.
What?
Except we think he's living in his truck or something, because Kevin later sees him like wake up and on an early morning run and gets out of this truck, and he's like, oh, Kevin's totally concerned about him. But you're right. If nothing else made me tune in next week, this would. Definitely would.
Absolutely. I'm very interested to know how they work this storyline. I mean, I have lots of ideas that are not Hallmark approved, probably. Like, I was thinking maybe the character, maybe he got into drugs and like he's now down on his luck, and now he's trying to rebuild his life. After being sober. I think Anne had mentioned, or maybe it was you that mentioned in our little chat about maybe he had an injury.
Yes.
And he didn't know what to do with his life after that, because, sometimes when sports is all you know, and that's what you think that's the only thing you're good at, and you have an injury, you can't do anything, and you're like, oh. Yeah. And then I brought back up maybe he got addicted to Vicodin and
right. We were going everywhere with this story, just try to make sense of. This was not the introduction we thought that we were going to get with this great, just this handsome character, that we were told was Brie's crush in high school.
Yeah.
And now he's totally not going to be, he's not even on the same level as she is now, this famous international playwright. And then he is a down on his luck, living in his truck type of, kind of making ends meet at a gas station type of guy. So it'll be so interesting. So interesting. For sure. We're gonna go. Yeah. Okay, so Brie. We do see Brie come home from London. She had a great time, I guess.
Brie is all up in everybody's business. We need one sibling like that.
She wants to get caught up. Like, what did she miss? And she's all in their business. But I just like her. I think she has a really interesting thing going here with this teaching job at Maryland University, or University of Maryland, whatever. And this nemesis who we didn't meet. We did not meet the nemesis, Jerome. Jerome somebody. But we talked about him quite a bit, Brie and the sisters. So it'll be so fun to see them connect. But Brie.
I'm excited to see her connect. I'm excited to see the whole like, I like you, I hate you, I like you, I hate you. Right. Like, how could you? I feel like we're missing that. You know, I mean, it's of course it's just episode 1, but we really need to see another relationship push and pull. I mean, I feel like a lot of it, with the exception of Trace and Abby, it's been too easy with the relationships. Like, be a little banter.
Exactly. So this has potential to be that push and pull kind of relationship with her nemesis. I love it. Okay, Connor is our guy here who he's in Baltimore. He's got a new job.
He's crushing it. Connor? Crushing it. He is crushing it. He is. I'm already shipping him and Margaret.
Yes.
They have got some great interactions. They've got this, like, they've almost got this kind of a spark. And I'm not necessarily saying like a romantic spark at this point, although I can totally see it just because their personalities seem to really like blend well together.
Right.
But they've just got really good chemistry.
Yes.
Like, there's some people that you just instantly connect with and you strike up a good friendship with them, and then you can trust them, and like, who knows, maybe it does lead into more. Maybe you're just like best friends, like, you know, not just colleagues where you clock in, clock out, goodbye, we don't care about your life type of thing. So I was like, okay, I'm liking her.
I felt the same way. And it's interesting to think about, you know, I just assumed, of course, she's going to be a love interest for him, but maybe not. Maybe they'll show a great platonic ally in a colleague and have a great friendship there. But I would not be opposed to a love interest. I think that would be really fun for him to have someone who's sharp, who keeps him on his toes, who's kind. I mean, she had such a kind, open face when she was talking about his family and hers and stuff. So she was kind of gave it to him though a little bit, just like in, you know, teasing him about like HR or something, you know, like just kind of being sarcastic back to him when he was asking her a genuine question. And so she'll be fun.
Yeah. I just hope with Connor, and if his love interest is going to be Margaret, I hope they draw it out. I hope that we feel, don't speed it up. We've seen too many speedy relationships, like Simon and Brie. We already knew they're going to get together, like, you know, but I would really just like to see one of the couples just have a long push and pull relationship.
That could be a good one, Connor and Margaret, because they work together. So there's lines that you don't want to cross. Yeah. But they're equals. You can already tell they're equals. He wanted her opinion and her perspective on a case about the wage discrimination and or discrepancy, and she was all in. She took a seat, you know, and she's like, great. And so you can already tell they respect each other. They really could not drag it out in a bad way, but like, I guess kind of a slow burn is
slow burn, romantic tension, you know.
Which would be good for Connor. I think it would be good for him personally, because he's like, you know, he wants quick results. He wants to be the on top of his game. He wants the recognition and the, you know, he's showy and he has to really work for something. That's going to be good.
So excited.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That would be really fun. Well, what was your favorite scene or kind of storyline through this? Which one, besides I guess you already just said it with Luke Tatum, he was intriguing to you?
He was very intriguing to me. I really liked seeing Abby's girls, like just like that little blip. Like we didn't see them a whole lot last season, and they've grown up so fast. And then just seeing her oldest daughter with her artwork, and just
Yeah.
you know, I'm interested to see how their relationship plays out with the whole art thing. I feel like that's going to be something, because the daughter's all like, oh, it's okay.
Right.
And then meanwhile, you're seeing these scribbles of other lighthouses. And I'm like, is this child a prodigy? Like, what is happening right now?
That was a great scene, to have the girls, to have Jay go into teacher mode, you know, to have Abby, she's the mom here. And I mean, that whole scene was really nice. I liked that. It was well done. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, so I really liked that one. I thought the sibling connection, it wasn't around ice cream, but it was at the bridge, kind of. Jess wasn't there, but that, you know, they were kind of toasting each other and celebrating each other type of thing. Like, I love those scenes when they're all together, the siblings. I think those are really strong on this show. So that was probably one of my favorites. The banter.
Can I say one more?
Yes.
I love the opening credits, you guys.
Yeah, tell us why.
It was so fresh, and whatever filter they used, it made it really just magical.
Yes.
It was that, like, I don't know, the shiny, like, coming in and out. It's very music video-ish. And just I don't know. There was something about that fresh opening scene that are like the music credits and everything. I was like, oh, okay,
it felt new.
This is new.
Yes.
This is new.
Totally. It felt new. But I think that is such a credit even to just the whole new team on this show. Behind the scenes, the writers, the producers, even the bang lady, you know, the lady who did the bangs, you know, I'm going to put her in there too. But the whole thing just feels really fresh and fun. And that's what we hoped for, because that's what we anticipated with the article and the previews. And I really think that's what we got this time. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Well done, Chesapeake Shores season 5 premiere show, episode 1. Any last thoughts on this before we go on and move forward to...
I mean, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm really looking forward to see how this season just plays out. I'm intrigued. You've got me. You got me.
And that was my closing remarks too. I'm in for season 5. You got me. I want to see how it plays out. I want to hear more of this great script writing that's happening. Bring it on. I'm ready.
Bring it on.
That's it. Yeah. Well, oh my goodness, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our recap of Chesapeake Shores. We are going to be recapping all season, but we're going to do every other week. So we'll cover 2 episodes per podcast, and stick with us. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And Casey, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Hallmark My Words.
Ooh, Hallmark My Words. Okay, come over and find me on Instagram at Hallmark Comics. I'd love to interact with you there. And of course, thank you for leaving your comments and reviews and subscribing to the YouTube channel that we have here on Hallmarkies Podcast and listening on iTunes. We totally want you to follow and go find Hallmarkies Podcast all over social media. We're just all over the place. So we will see you next time. Chessies, bye.
Bye, Chess Peeps.